A mate of a mate's great-great-grandfather's mate once said, "The waste of plenty is the resource of scarcity." Do you know what? He was talking rubbish. But he couldn't have been aware back in the days of the Industrial Revolution just how much rubbish he was actually talking. 200 years on, and I can tell you, tons and tons of it. I mean, in Europe alone, we generate about 3 billion tons a year. That's about 6 tons of solid waste for every single man, woman and sproglet out there. The question is, what do you do with it? Yeah, you bin it, obviously. Then what? Well, that is where Shanks comes in. Shanks, or Shanks and McEwen as they were known in those days, started life as a construction company way back in 1880 in bonny old Scotland and got into waste management as a way of making use of disused quarries. But as the saying goes, where there is muck, there is brass. And by the end of the 20th century, Shanks had moved out of the construction game and given themselves a bigger slice of the waste management cake by buying up London Brick Landfill and Recum Environmental Services. And when they bought 4 more companies in Belgium and another in the Netherlands, they then became one of Europe's largest waste management players, dealing in household waste, commercial, industrial and hazardous, and contaminated land. In all, Shanks deals with over 7,400,000 tonnes of waste a year and has an organic waste treatment capacity of 1 million tonnes. They also lead the market in the Netherlands and have invested bundles into renewable energy facilities in Belgium and the UK. And they've won some of the largest PFI contracts ever awarded. A big fish in a pretty big pond, you might say. But the growth hasn't stopped at Europe. Oh no, for Shanks has also expanded into Canada. So what, I hear you say? So Shanks is some big successful waste management company. And? Well, I'll tell you what the and is. You see, while sticking loads of rubbish in a big hole might well have been big business, it was kind of putting a bit of a strain on the natural resources. And it's not exactly environmentally friendly, is it? And unless you've been asleep for the first 10 years of this greener, fluffier new millennium, I'm presuming you'll have heard of greenhouse gases and climate change. Now, Shanks saw how things were changing, and by selling off their landfill and landfill gas businesses alongside their chemical services division, they could not only concentrate on what they do best, but they could also raise the necessary dough to invest in recycling infrastructure. Like here in Blockhair in Glasgow, a state-of-the-art recycling facility incorporating years and years of experience and knowledge from across the group. From places like here, Eindhoven in Amsterdam. In the Netherlands, Shanks companies now process more than 4 million tonnes of waste a year, of which a whopping 87% is then recycled and used again. Because if you think about it, waste only really becomes waste once you stop using it. Take my old neck of the woods, East London. Nice, eh? But until very recently, we weren't exactly super great at doing our recycling bit. But thankfully, Shanks is helping the local waste authority to increase recycling from 4% to 25%, diverting 35% of all waste produced from landfill. And as well as upgrading all the civic amenity sites into reuse and recycling centres, and constructing 2 materials recycling facilities, Shanks have also built 2 mechanical biological treatment facilities, where the waste is dried and shredded, and the glass and metal recycled. Not only that, but it also produces a secondary fuel that can be used as a fossil fuel replacement. And that, for me, is just fine and dandy. For if there's one thing I do know, it's that fossil fuels are running out. And without wanting to get all apocalyptic, something needs to be done about that. And guess what? Shanks is doing it. Like here in Ghent, where they produce a fuel from what's left of the construction, demolition and industrial waste once it's been recycled. Or here at Shanks' Vallebois CHP plant, where they use material from Forenex, a biomass business they bought in 2007 to convert waste wood into fuel for electricity plants and green energy. Or here at Eindhoven, Amsterdam, where they produce this pellet fuel used by customers in Sweden from commercial and industrial waste. So what else? Well, in 2007, Shanks bought Orgerworld, which, despite sounding like some sort of theme park, is actually an innovative organic waste treatment company using anaerobic digestion to convert organic waste into fuel, energy and agricultural products. It's a technology now used right across the group. In Amsterdam, Shanks has commissioned this, Europe's largest anaerobic digestion facility, processing 100,000 tonnes of organic waste a year. That produces enough energy to power about 5,000 homes. They're also using anaerobic digestion technology to manage food waste for M&S in the UK and Albert Heijn, the largest supermarket chain in the Netherlands. Who'd have thought it, eh? An old prawn sandwich would come in so handy. And in 2010, 130 years after first starting off in Scotland, Shanks are back there in Cumbernauld to open one of the very first and largest commercial anaerobic digestion facilities using Orgerworld technology. They've got 2 more planned in Oxfordshire and East London.
The Shanks Group generates over 102,000 megawatt hours of renewable energy a year. Fewer people know more about generating sustainable energy sources than Shanks. But you know what it is, recycling and energy production, it's not just about infrastructure and clever gizmos, is it? No, it's about changing the way people think and act. And who better to help out with that than Shanks? Now, Shanks is working with schools, with communities and faith groups to help educate them on how and why they should recycle. Governments and councils are finally getting their act together, and the laws on waste management are only going to get tougher, which is great for companies like Shanks who already operate in countries where the regulations are more stringent. Not quite so great for those who still insist on chucking their waste in a big hole.
So, getting back to what my mate's great-great-grandfather's mate said, he was talking rubbish. The waste of plenty doesn't necessarily have to be the resource of scarcity, does it? Because if you can make use of waste, either by recycling or turning what you can't recycle into fuel and energy, then there's got to be a future in that, hasn't there?